I love when I don't press record the first time. So, my name is Noelle D. Thank you for coming here. I appreciate you. I'm going to be looking at my notes because I wrote down a couple questions and some bullet points of things that I would like to talk to you guys about. So this is my second YouTube channel, and basically the algorithm got me, and I was creating content that not everyone on the channel was engaging with. And so basically what happened was I was reading One Piece and really enjoying it because my viewers had convinced me to read the series. Everything that I heard about it sounded like it was right up my alley, and I wanted to start manga for the first time since my childhood. Well, I had been having a great time with it, and there are times when I do need breaks, and there are times when I want to create conversation about the novels that I like to read, about the fantasy books that I love to read. And also I tried reading romance as well, which is a video that will be reposted, and a lot of the videos you will see will be reposted over here. Well, all the people who are watching One Piece videos were not engaging with that content, and the YouTube algorithm said, hey, people who like One Piece and like watching One Piece videos like this channel, so we're gonna recommend her videos to those people as well. Those people who are watching One Piece videos are probably not gonna read fantasy reader reads romance for the first time, and here's how it goes, because that's just not exactly something that has the same audience. Well, I want to create a more novel central channel, and that's what this is. So, as I already said, my name is Noelle D. I was in the Marine Corps, and I got medically retired, which a lot of people think that you can't be young and retired. Well, if you're in the military and you have dealt with health issues and stuff, then you know that if you have to get out, then they're going to get you out, and then you're going to get compensated for it. So one of the main goals of this channel and kind of starting YouTube as well, I always wanted to be a YouTuber from when I was like a really young kid, as a lot of people in my generation seem to want to do. Well, I didn't really have a motive. I didn't really have a drive. I didn't really have something that I was super interested in and something that I really wanted to talk about until 2023. Yes, 2023 is when I started reading, and it was because I was watching some YouTubers online who also read, and I was like, well, I've always been kind of interested in the idea of reading, but I haven't really ever been a reader. And so I began by reading Lord of the Rings, and because I love the movies and I love fantasy, and I was like, well, I should start with Lord of the Rings, obviously. And I would not recommend everyone to start in that place, but I will say that I really, really enjoyed it, and it helped me keep going. I also read Crime and Punishment at that time and kind of realized that literary fiction at that moment wasn't for me, but I do want it to be for me at some point. Well, because I started getting interested in books, and I also had done a YouTube channel about like working out and stuff, and then that kind of didn't work out for me, considering I do have a lot of injuries and health issues and things like that. It's just not something that I would have been able to keep up with, and not something that I think ultimately would be good for my health in the end. Well, I wanted to share this hobby, and I want to try to include my mental health and physical health journey, because that's a part of me, and this Booktube channel is going to be not just about books, but also about me and about my life and about God, and because he's supposed to be and is the center of my life, and the most important thing in my life, and the only reason that I'm sitting here even today is because of the Lord, and that's something that I really want to be able to talk about on my channel as well. So I will get into those health issues and things later on down the road, but for now, let's talk about something I'm most excited for within YouTube, and that is the community. I'm excited to do live streams. I'm excited to reply to every comment, because I already do that on my One Piece channel, and have been really loving the engagement and just talking with everyone and just being besties, and seeing people come back and comment and remembering their names or their user tags and stuff like that is really exciting, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like me and this person are in this sort of community together where we are interacting and sharing things of a hobby. And some people are like, hey, I'm listening to you while I'm at work, oh, my favorite YouTuber's back. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. I know that there are so many other YouTubers out there. Please don't say that to me. Don't hype me up like that. But I just love being able to talk with people. I've always been a yapper. I've always been a professional yapper. Since I came out the womb, you know, I've always been so talkative and so outgoing. Well, when I joined the Marine Corps and had all my physical health and other things go on, that kind of got taken away from me. And so I've been trying to find that again. And I'm really excited to be able to do that, but in a different way. Now I'm also like doing other things in my life, but yeah, just doing it here as well, which is something that little Noelle's always wanted to do. I'm really excited about doing like a free book club or something like that, where we go on Discord and we all talk to each other, and maybe we do, you know, a book club sort of thing. I really don't want to do any sort of paid content necessarily. Now, monetizing YouTube, sure, but doing a Patreon or getting sponsored by anybody, it's not exactly something that I want to do, because I'm not really here for that. I'm here for the community. And I feel like because my channel is based on my opinion of books and things, I feel if I am to recommend something like a protein healthy cereal brand, I'm not going to say the name, that absolutely suck, and someone else doesn't like that cereal, then they're like, oh, well, how can I trust them about anything else? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of how I feel about things, and maybe that's just silly. I know it's just silly. It's just something arbitrary, but like, I don't want people to see me on here as like, she's just in it for the money. I can't really necessarily work right now either, so I guess I could see why people may think that as well. Like I said, we'll get more into my physical health stuff, my health journey later, but I do want to say that I love talking about books. I feel like I just light up when someone asks me about a book that I really like. And if you want to know the books that I have really enjoyed and have really lit up about, well, is in my favorite genre, which would be fantasy. And it's Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I really enjoyed A Game of Thrones, and I'm excited to continue reading. I'm currently reading Malice, Lord of the Rings, obviously, and there's so many more that I have heard about that I'm super, super stoked to read. And I want to talk about why fantasy is my favorite genre. And I feel like it's because fantasy has all of the elements that you could want from fiction. Now, I wouldn't say from nonfiction, because nonfiction is obviously real and about someone's life, or like a biography or something like that. Like, that is a completely different area of something you may want. But within fiction, there are many different things that people could want. And in my opinion, I feel like fantasy has all of it, but takes it that one step further, because for an author to write a fantasy book, they have so much more room for creativity. They can create their own world. They can have these extra elements that make the story more complex. And there's a lot of complex emotions. You can add a lot of characters from all sorts of different walks of life. And there will be someone within the story that you'll be able to relate to. And I really love that about fantasy, that you have so many different point of views, and reading is something that, one, de-stresses you, and two, is supposed to help increase your empathy. And it was funny, I actually mentioned that to my husband the other day about, oh, I want to increase my empathy and everything. And he said, from what, 100? You're like the most empathetic person I know. You can't get more empathetic than that. But I'm like, yeah, but for book characters, I want to be more empathetic for book characters, because I feel like when it's in a book, I don't care as much as if it was like in a movie or obviously real life. So I don't know. Also, speaking of my husband, this is his shelf, and they're separated by genre. I only have a couple books on this shelf, and these are mine. And I know that these are up here. I recently read these Emily Henry books. Well, kind of. And I'm going to be giving them to the library because, well, you'll see my opinion on those later. What else is about fantasy that I was going to talk about? I feel like there's my microphone sitting on an Amazon box, and my cat just crawled into the box. He's deaf also, so I guess he's just in there now. Okay, so because I feel like this video is already kind of long and all about me and all this kind of stuff, but I have 2 questions that I find that I really enjoy. Maybe a couple more questions, but I have 2 written down at least. And I know I didn't really finish my fantasy thought. I have brain fog, and I kind of don't remember what else I was gonna say about it, but fantasy is the best. I don't know. I feel like there's so much more room for things like Lord of the Rings. There's lots of allegories to Christianity, and that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. But I also love it so much just because of all of the elements that are in it, and so many emotional and dramatic moments that I just feel like I can't get from anywhere else. Now, I know I probably could, and I am all down for reading any genre. I really would like to branch out, and I just recently branched out to reading romance for the first time. Well, I would like to continue to do that with other genres as well, but as for right now, fantasy is just at the absolute top for me. Also, if this setup looks kind of weird with me sitting in the middle of my bookshelves, I have my giant duck that I'm having as back support right now, and I don't know, it's kind of the vibe for me right now, I must say. All right, so my burning bookish questions, or whatever. First one would be, what are your thoughts on book annotating, and are you a book destroyer? Like doggy earring pages, are you crazy and ripping out pages and stuff like that? I don't know. And then thoughts on e-readers, audiobooks, and physical reading, and the pros and cons to each of those. I think those are always interesting questions that I love to hear people's perspective on. So I will give my perspective, and I will talk about annotating and book destroying, though I guess you could just say book interacting deeply. So I actually had a professor in college in my English literature class who said that he said this quote, and I wish I remembered it exactly, but he was a great professor, really awesome, and I enjoyed his class so much. Probably my favorite class that I've had in college. And he said that books love when you interact with them. They love when you highlight them and when you crease their pages. It's like interacting with them. Almost like he was personifying these books and saying that it is okay to deface your book. It is okay to do these things and interact with your book. It is your item. It's your thing. And I agree with that. I would say that personally, I don't like to mess up my books necessarily. I like to tab more than anything and annotate if it's real crazy. I would probably prefer to put a sticky note or something, but annotating within the margins is not a bad thing either, but I have fairly big handwriting usually, so I don't know, I don't like writing really small. But anyways, and I have done highlighting and writing in the book, and I really liked doing that for Percy Jackson because I feel like that's going to be a really fun series to eventually show my kids. When I have kids, I think it would be really cool for them to see like my annotations when I was younger, and they'll be like, Mom, you're so silly, like why'd you write that? Or I don't know, just like they could have something to appreciate and share with me. And maybe that's selfish, I don't know, but I feel like it could be like a cute experience for me and them. And if they don't like it, they can read it on ebook or something. I don't know. That is a good segue into thoughts on e-readers, audiobooks, and physical readings. Personally, I just got an e-reader, a Kindle, earlier this year or last year. I want to say it was last year. I mean, all the years are like combining together. I don't know what's going on with that, but I got a Kindle, and I will say that I don't like the way that Amazon treats their paying loyal customers, and how there are Kindles that are not ad-free, and I'm just like, you already pay like $100 for this e-reader, and then on top of that have to pay for the books within the e-reader unless you borrow from the library, which is typically what I like to do to save money and, you know, kind of see if I'm gonna like the book first before I buy it. As you can see on my shelves, I have a lot of books and I have not read them all, so that doesn't always happen. But anyways, speaking of that, I will get to that within physical reading. I will also like to talk about book buying. But with e-readers, I feel like there are some good ones out there, but Kindle is just like that staple. Like you're just like, I know what I'm getting with this, and it's simple. That's why I have one. I didn't do a ton of research. I was like, oh, Kindle is something that a lot of people have. Let me just go get that. I would like to be better informed if I happen to buy an e-reader in another time, because there are a lot of people who commented on my Kindle video on my other channel and talked about other e-readers that they prefer. So for audiobook, I personally haven't done any audio booking except for one time listening to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone on like a YouTube in Spanish audiobook thing. And then also I have the Bible app, and I listen to the Bible on audiobook like when I'm walking around and doing chores around the house, and I really like that. I think audiobooks are a great idea, especially for people who are really busy. I will say, like, maybe it's an OCD thing, thing, which is a mental health thing that I will get into because it is more than what a lot of people think it is. But anyways, that I don't like when people say, oh, I read this book, and then boom, you listen to it on an audiobook. It just irks me, and it really doesn't matter. I know it doesn't, but if I read a book, I'm going to tell you I read the book. If I listened to the book, I'm going to tell you I listened to the book. And maybe that's like a linguist's point of view where like language and there's all these arbitrary things and whatever, but that it's just a different modality. And that's all it is. But I'm not going to say that a person knows less about a book because they listen to it versus reading it. That could be possible for people depending on how they learn and how they input information, because everyone's brain is going to work differently. I think that listening to the Bible has been very helpful to me. So maybe listening on audiobook will also be good for me. I don't know. And then also my husband will read in the car to me when I'm driving, when I really want to read a book. And we were just doing that with Malice, which is one of my books stacked up there, which is why those books are stacked up there. It's a mess. But my husband was reading it to me in the car today because I wanted to read, but I get car sick and I was also driving. So I'm not going to read and drive. But you get my point. That also, I was able to be very engaged, and I do need to get tested for ADHD because I have a really hard time with my listening skills, and I am an aspiring translator for Spanish. I am currently going to college for Spanish, so if I don't get my listening down pat, I need to get tested for all that. But OCD also causes problems with that as well. Anyway, so let's get on to physical reading. So I do have physical ailments, health issues, my neck, my back, my wrists, my thumbs. I actually have tears in my thumbs, shoulders, knees, hips. I've had multiple surgeries now. Well, 2, 1 failed, and that was my knee surgery. And I also had hip surgery last year, beginning of this year, last year. It's November, beginning of this year. Last year? Oh my gosh. The fact that I don't remember is crazy. Like, all the years combining is just something. Anyway, I love physical reading. I love feeling just this giant brick in my hand that I'm reading, and then finally being able to close it and be like, oh my gosh, I finished reading all of this, all of these words and all these pages. This is amazing. I feel so accomplished. And that's one of the things I love about reading too, is that you feel so accomplished when you finish a book. It do be painful sometimes to read gigantic heavy books. I call them heavy in terms of like if you're sitting here with your wrists like, and your neck like in your postures. It's heavy in terms of it'll get heavy over the couple hours that you're holding it, or couple minutes if you have carpal tunnel. Anyway, that's really the only downside to physical reading, but I love physical reading. I also love ebooks because I feel like I can fly through books a bit faster. For physical reading and e-reading, I do it for both. I like skip forward and then I'll be reading and then I have no idea what I read and then I have to reread it, and I do that all the time. And I'm so frustrated with myself and why that happens. But those are my main things about physical reading. I think physical reading is great. I think e-reading is also great, and I don't have much of an opinion on audiobooks because I haven't done it yet, but I won't say that I never will because I think that audiobooks are a great idea for busy people. There's nothing wrong with that. And also for people who don't have the ability to be able to read because they may be blind, and to have audiobooks is such a great thing just for so many different people, and I love that. So what else could I say about me, or what questions could I ask? What's your favorite book so far this year? What would you like to see on the channel? What would you like to see from me? What would you like to know about me? Is there anything physical health, mental health wise that you would like to know? Obviously I'm not going to disclose everything because I'm not gonna do that, but I would definitely like to talk to everyone about it and be able to implement it into my channel. And if you have ways and ideas of how to implement that, I am all down for that. I started reading Harry Potter this year, so that's some of my favorites. My favorite in the series so far is honestly probably the third book if I was being unbiased, but if I was being biased and going off nostalgia, it would be the first book, but definitely the third book. And the first book I did cry, I won't lie. It was tears of happiness though. It was tears of joy. I did cry though, because Harry Potter, the first and second movie, are my comfort movies. They're my airplane movies. They're my fall and winter and all year round movies when I want fall and winter to be here. That is my movie. So let me know your comfort movie, your comfort read. Do you reread? Because I haven't yet, but I think I will. What are some other questions I could ask you? Do you have pets? I don't know. Just let me know. Let me know if you're interested in a book club. Let me know if you're interested in joining a Discord. I would love to create one. Anything you would like to see on the channel, just let me know. If you have book recommendations for me as well, I am also super down for that. And yeah, I think that's about it. I'm so happy that you're here and I'm happy to be here. And yeah, let's be friends. Let's have this community together. Noelle's Book Nook, Noelle's Reading Corner. That's what everyone's name is. So I'm just gonna be Noelle D. Anyway, God bless. Thank you so much for being here once again. And I will see y'all soon.